Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to Footy JUDGEMO, people. The Zubimendi deal in Jeopardy. I think the player wants to go. He's been held hostage or something at Real Sociedad. They are trying to convince him not to join Liverpool. But the angle here is that does Zubimendi take Liverpool to the title? A lot of people want to banter Liverpool about this. A lot of people think that this is going to be another Caicedo deal. If this is done, this should shut down the club. If at the end Liverpool don't get Zubimendi and he doesn't go and it will end up being like a Caicedo deal, this is going to be a laugh and a joke. But I don't believe that is the case. We'll talk to Jamie and Charlie about this. Martin is going to be joining us momentarily. But listen, Chelsea as well. Omorodion deal is done. Here we go. Osimhen is next. Where does that take Chelsea? Why do Chelsea keep signing these unproven players? We'll talk to Charlie about that. You got all know Charlie, of course. Been here before. And Jamie is here. And Arsenal smash Leverkusen. Mikel Arteta teaches Xabi Alonso a lesson. A lot of people said that Xabi Alonso is a better manager. Yesterday's game, a tactical masterclass. It's only a friendly, but Arsenal really look ready for the season. Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz look absolutely on fire. Can they be the two players to start up top? Can they start together? And can they take Arsenal to the title? But before you go on, hit that like button, people. Almost 300 people. We just started the show. We need to get to 300, 400 likes. Now, get your opinions in. Of course, if you want to interject, if you want to support the channel, and if you want to get your comments in, hit that like button. And if you're watching this on the replay, hit that like button, people, because we're in for a great show. But listen, before we start, how is everyone doing? How's everyone feeling?
I'm good, man.
Yeah,
I am good. Not bothered at all.
Yeah, can't complain. A few more signings in the
My
door.
internet is a little bit.
Yeah,
My internet is a little bit off. My internet is a little bit off. So if you lose me, listen. If you lose me, just keep doing it because my internet is a little bit off. But listen, people, hit that like button. We need to start by, guys, hit that like button. Let's get to 100 likes right off the bat. We need to start with the Zubimendi thing. Jamie, tell us what is happening.
So Lewis Steele just tweeted that as well and said Zubimendi is leaning towards leaving more now than ever. That is just the latest right now. The manager at Real Sociedad is apparently putting on an offensive, and I quote this: he's apparently telling Zubimendi how good his life is in San Sebastian and how he loves walking in the Northern Mountains and all this sort of stuff. That's his charm offensive. Obviously, there's no mountains in Liverpool. But Lewis still also tweeting out just now as well that it looks like Zubimendi is leaning towards leaving more now than ever before. These are the new things coming through right now. So I don't know. It's I say it's 60-40 at the moment that he leaves, but we see. It looks like also, they put in a charm offensive because the way Paul Joyce tweeted it earlier, Paul Joyce only usually tweets when he knows something concrete that, they're putting on a charm offensive to keep him at the football club, which tells me Zubimendi obviously said he wants to leave. So we just have to wait and see. It's a weird one with Zubimendi. Everyone's tried.
Do you think he's the right signing for Liverpool?
Yeah, I do. For on the slot, I've always said this. I don't care if people think it don't make sense in a formation system, whatever. If a manager wants a footballer and he wants that footballer because he thinks it'll work for his system, then the football club should do everything in their power to get the player the manager wants. In my opinion, some people might not think, it don't look like it works defensively, him and McAllister together. And on paper, it might not. I don't know. But if the manager wants the player, then the club should do everything in their power to get the player for the manager. And let's see how it goes. Because football today is all about systems, ain't it? We know this. And, if Slot thinks his system would work best with a double pivot of McAllister and Zubimendi, then go and get Zubimendi for the manager.
Okay.
See how it works.
I argued this yesterday, and me and you were talking about it. I want to get Charlie's opinion about this. It looks good going forward. A lot of people said that Zubimendi did this in the Euro, Zubimendi did that in the Euro. I get that. Offensively, a lot of people are saying that. Defensively, in the midfield, do you think that midfield defensively is good enough? Or do you still think that it's going to be Endo? Go ahead, Charlie.
Look, I think Liverpool clearly need an upgrade in that midfield area. I mean, Endo come in and he look, to be fair to him, he done an okay job last season. I don't think he's going to be a number 6 that wins you the league if he's starting every week. But he actually done a lot better than I think what people thought. But Liverpool clearly need an upgrade in that position. They've bided their time to enter the transfer market. And look, Hughes, Edwards, these guys aren't stupid. They've obviously done a lot of research on him. And, I'm sure they would have got some input from Arne Slot on him as well. And if they feel that he's the right fit for how Slot wants to play, then let's go for it. Let's see how they do. In terms of, does it take Liverpool forward in terms of, does that then put them on a level where they can compete with Arsenal and City over the course of a season? I'm not sure if that one signing makes that huge difference to sort of take them up to challenge the top 2, but it certainly would be an improvement in that midfield. You've got the likes of Gravenberch in there, Curtis Jones and whatnot, McAllister. And I think a McAllister and a Zubimendi sort of a pivot, if that's what they end up going with, will...
Why not? Sorry, why not? Why not? Why not Liverpool cannot challenge? Why you're a little bit hesitant?
I just think in terms of, if Klopp was still here, then I would say, yeah, well, I think there's a good chance they could challenge. But I just think with Slot being a new manager, yes, of course, they've kept most of the playing squad intact, so that's a positive. The squad wasn't bad anyway, so obviously I know Liverpool haven't re-signed anyone yet, but the idea that, you know, Liverpool needs to go and sign 3, 4, 5 players, I didn't really think that was the case. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2, but the squad is actually of a decent level and a decent quality. I just feel that with Slot coming in, never managed outside Holland. Yeah, he's obviously got some ability and he's obviously a good coach. But I think coming into, you know, Klopp's shoes, there would be a big ask in the first season to challenge for the title.
Yeah,
But the team is so ready, though. Like, to be honest with you, based on what I saw in the preseason, and I know it's only preseason, I think Arne Slot he looks good. The team looks very, very good. And if they get that signing right, if Zubimendi is the guy for him, listen, I'm only saying my opinion, right? Tactically, I think that midfield defensively doesn't look good. Offensively, it looks absolutely immense and fantastic. But defensively, I still think they're a little bit suspect.
Yeah.
But I think based on what I saw, I don't see any reason why can't Liverpool, with the form that Mohamed Salah look like he's ready, and with Trent coming back with Alisson and Van Dijk, I genuinely think Liverpool can challenge the likes of Man City and Arsenal. Like, why not? Because of, and I'm having a different energy for Maresca versus Arne Slot. And there's a reason why I have that, because people tell me, Mo, but you say Maresca is an unknown. Yes, Maresca coached Parma and coached in the Championship. Arne Slot coached in the Dutch league. Yes, we have the experience of Erik ten Hag and he failed and blah, blah, blah. But remember, Erik ten Hag in his first season took Man United to a third. Arne Slot looked tactically very good. He looked good. The way he set up his team looked very good. The players are already experienced and very good. Maresca doesn't have experienced player. I think if you look at both clubs, Liverpool versus Chelsea, and a lot of people want to put Chelsea on par with Liverpool, new manager. They aren't. They aren't. And I'm not talking about you, Charlie. A lot of people tell me, oh, yeah, Arne Slot is new, so is Maresca. Liverpool team have declining players. Chelsea team have the upcoming players. I actually think Liverpool team is way more ready than the Chelsea team. And Arne Slot has 8 years of coaching experience, if I'm not mistaken. He started coaching in 2016 before that he was an assistant. 2016-17 or 17-18, I can't remember.
Well,
that is someone who is ready.
With Slot, in when he was manager of AZ Alkmaar, he was on level on points with Ten Hag's Ajax team. Obviously had more money and all them players. And then obviously the pandemic hit and the Dutch league cancelled their league, didn't they? They didn't play on. So they finished level on points with Ajax at the time. Then he went to a final team where he only spent, I think, 15 million and won the league with them. So he's obviously a good coach. He's obviously got great coaching ability. There's no doubt about that. And that's what he pretty much is at Liverpool as the head coach. With the players he's got, if Zubimendi does come to Liverpool, and Liverpool are linked with a left back as well, in Cape, is it? If they get him and Zubimendi through the door this season, I think all that does is pull Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal just pull even further away from everyone else, in my opinion. And that fourth
Martin, you're looking at Liverpool and thinking this team can win the Premier League at all this season with a signing like a Zubimendi.
Look, I don't think Zubimendi is a massive needle mover for Liverpool, like he wasn't a massive needle mover for us when we were linked with him. It was kind of like he could be really amazing. He could be the kind of like you guys haven't had someone that's like a deep controller since when Thiago was fit. And when you did, it was special to watch. But your midfield's completely changed now. And I don't want to extrapolate too much from the preseason games because it's a little bit, everyone's playing kids and stuff's all over the place. So I think we're just going to have to see, day one of the Premier League when the rubber hits the road, how Slot's really going to get tested. I'm not sure who you guys starting off against in the Premier League.
Ipswich.
Okay, well, that's a nice friendly one. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if Liverpool were, top of the table at Christmas because all the pieces are there, right? If Slot can get out of his own way and just let the magic happen, I think that it's already a very strong side.
Hold on. Now, if you think Slot can be top of the table, can keep up with Arsenal and Man City, that is the answer.
I mean, we saw Ange Postecoglou was top of the table and won 10 out of 11 games or something like that last season. And even Arteta the season before was kind of crazy how he won crazy amounts of games at the start of the season. If things catch fire, I don't see why not. they've got the talent. Obviously, if Salah and Van Dijk and all those guys show up, it's going to be a rough day for anyone you're playing against.
Just on Zubimendi quickly, right? Do you reckon Sociedad sell Zubimendi and Mikel Moreno both this summer?
I don't know if they've got a choice with Moreno, or they need to give him a new deal because I think he's got 1 year left.
Yeah.
So
that'd be a big loss, wouldn't it? Both of them going in the same summer. Surely they'd only want to lose one, but I mean, they might have a choice.
I don't think they want to lose either. From what I was reading, I mean, I only just woke up, so apologies for being a little bit late, but I think that they were going to try and convince him to stay rather than go to Liverpool. I don't think they've given up on that. And I think the same with Moreno, although we haven't started a formal conversation.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Yeah, Jamie's reading tweets, and I'm also getting notifications about the deal. It looks like Zubimendi might want to go, and Liverpool will have to be forced to just pay the release clause, and that's it. Yeah. Sociedad don't hold the cards here. They don't.
What is it, 60 mil? 60 million euros?
60 million euros. It's 51 million pounds. So if Liverpool pay that, Zubimendi is out of Sociedad. It's in his hands. It's not in Sociedad's hands. That is a key thing, yeah.
The difference with
it's all about, to be honest, for me, I look at this, it is all about Liverpool convincing Zubimendi to leave. It isn't about Liverpool convincing Real Sociedad to let the guy go. If the guy wants to go, he's gonna go. He's gonna go.
A release clause, don't they? That's what they'll be waiting to do, isn't it? Convince him to leave, to come, and then they'll just drop that release clause, and then Sociedad.
That's it. With all due respect, Liverpool have the money to pay that release clause up front. And Liverpool aren't linked with an Osimhen after this. The difference is Arsenal, for example, they still gonna drop a 60 or a 50 million on another player. Liverpool only gonna drop that much money on one player up front. All the other deals aren't linked with another top player that will require that much money. You get my point? Like, this is the only transfer this season for Liverpool that is going to be a money up front. It's not going to be any. This is the Rice. This is Liverpool's Declan Rice. I'm being serious. This is Liverpool's Declan Rice situation, isn't it? It is.
Yeah. Only if they were coming up against Man City, which I guess they should probably come off mute if they need a backup to Rodri. But Declan Rice is a whole other saga. Getting off West Ham was like crying, like getting blood from a stone. It was crazy. So hopefully it's not as bad as for you guys as that was for us.
The thing with the release clause in Spain, I think with the release clause in Spain, you don't actually talk to the club, you talk to the league, don't you? So the club trying to buy the player just talks to the player. They don't have to talk to the selling club at all. They talk because the release clause is dealt with the league, ain't it? So that's why it's all up to Zubimendi, basically. If he wants to go, he's going to go, and Liverpool just go activate the release clause.
I think Marino has a 60 mil release clause as well, but I think most times that's never touched in the La Liga because the clubs always come to an agreement.
Yeah.
Without having to do the release. It's only the Premier League clubs that come in with a bag of cash.
Don't every player in Spain have a release clause?
Every player has a release clause. Yeah.
You can set whatever you want, I suppose. But
Barcelona ones are like over $1 billion.
Charlie actually raised that point about the Man City thing when we were before. And guys, we got like about 800 people here. Can we get the likes up to 500 likes, guys? Hit that like button underneath. What would that point that you made, Charlie, about Man City and Zubimendi would suit Man City more than anyone else is absolutely, it's pinpoint, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, look, just thinking, when City don't play with Rodri, they're obviously a totally different side, and they still don't really have that natural Rodri replacement in their squad. And I don't know, I just think about it. Just look at Zubimendi. He would fit into that City team well. He was Rodri's replacement in the Euros. And for 50 odd million quid for a top level defensive midfield player that could make a big difference to your team. That's not an awful lot of money to spend. I think they spent more than that on Mateus Nunes from Wolves. So, for me, I'm surprised that, and this is not no disrespect to Liverpool, massive football club and whatnot. I'm surprised that perhaps no one else is seriously pushing Zubimendi. I know there were links to Arsenal earlier. I know there was some talk about Man United, but no clubs have seemingly, put as much serious interest into Zubimendi as Liverpool have. I don't know why perhaps more teams haven't expressed an interest because he's a very good footballer. So, you know, I'm surprised maybe City haven't looked, you know, and could Liverpool really have a free run on him? I'm not sure. I'd be surprised if they were given a free run because, you know, defensive midfield players of quality, there's not many of them in the market, and it's a really important position to get right as well. So I'm surprised that more teams aren't looking.
Maybe City are a bit worried about spending money, Rick.
Could be.
You know what I'm saying? They've got a thing coming up. They've got a court case coming up. I don't know if City... I know City fans are... I know a lot of City fans in the space, and they're basically saying we need a DM desperately. You know, we need DM backup. They don't understand why they're not spending money at the moment either. Maybe City are just a bit cautious right now. Bit cautious.
They just sold Alvarez. They'd been linked with Bruno Guimaraes, and everyone's saying they're going to pay his 100 million. Zubimendi would be an amazing bargain in comparison. I think that Arsenal approached him a while ago. Maybe it was almost a whole year ago when we were fully linked to him and it was going to happen. And then I think if we were rejected, I think a lot of clubs just thought, well, if he's not going to go to Arsenal right now when they're challenging for the league, obviously he wants to stay in Spain a lot. But maybe things have changed since the Euros. Maybe Liverpool just caught him at the right time, or maybe he just really loves Liverpool. And
I'm just not sure from a Zubimendi perspective, like what benefit does he have from staying at Sociedad? Because he's not really progressing his career there, is he? If we're being honest. Yeah, okay, you know, the weather's better, the lifestyle might be better, but realistically, if we actually think about it from a professional point of view, why would he want to stay at Sociedad? I mean, look, Sociedad's, you know, obviously a good club and that, but they're not one of Spain's big hitters. So I could understand if he was at maybe an Atletico Madrid or something like that. It might be a little bit of a more difficult decision. But, you know, playing for a Sociedad, surely it's a no-brainer to go to the Premier League. Like, if he decides that if he gets convinced to change his mind, why? I'd have to question his mentality and his ambition in his career if he's to turn down a move to the Premier League and a big club to remain in Spain, just because the weather's nice? I mean, it wouldn't make sense to me.
I think I look at it. I think, like, obviously Liverpool, his wages would be a problem because I think he's only on 58 grand a week anyway, so he's got to double his wages quite easily. I think Liverpool might have just come in at the right time because he is 25 now. You know, teams that were coming in before, he was a little bit younger, so he probably felt like he wanted to stay. But 25 years of age, this is when I think most people expect footballers to really come into their own now and get at the big clubs around that sort of age. So maybe Liverpool just come in at the right time. And
honestly, I think it's you guys have a need for him. I could see. I think he could probably see himself starting every game. And I think if he goes to City, that's maybe not going to happen. If he goes to Arsenal right now, maybe that's not going to happen. Bayern, maybe that's not going to happen. So maybe he's ready for just the right.
I don't know.
Liverpool's probably one of the only sort of like top clubs that he probably look at and think, yeah, he actually probably will. He probably will go straight into that starting 11. You know, you mentioned Arsenal, perhaps not. Obviously, he was linked with Bayern Munich, but they've obviously gone and signed João Palhinha. He probably doesn't go and start there. So, yeah, from a Zubimendi perspective, you're going to leave Sociedad to take a step up and you want to play regularly. There's, other than Liverpool, there's not that many options out there for him in terms of top teams where you can probably say that, do you know what? Yeah, I'm going to start most weeks here.
What about Arsenal? Who got the better? Like, if Liverpool get Zubimendi, there is a lot of comparison between him and Moreno. Which one suit? Why are you laughing? Can I understand?
I don't know. You're like a dog with a bone. You'd found an angle, and you're ready to rub two clubs against each other.
Actually, no. I'm actually thinking that maybe Mikel Moreno with more defensive work would suit it. Why do people don't? Zubimendi was linked to Arsenal 2 windows in a row, and then Arsenal moved away and looked at Moreno. I'm not sure if it was because it was cheaper or because they looked at the player profile and thought that, yes, we need that player. Because it doesn't make sense to me that Arsenal moved away from Zubimendi and now Liverpool are like, oh, we'll get Zubimendi. Like,
but we were linked before we got Rice in the door originally, right? And then I think it's I think he's quite a deep-lying playmaker. I don't think he's really he can play an 8 kind of like what we think Marino can do. Again, it's a little bit of guesswork, but once we were linked, we did a lot of Arsenal fans did a lot of scouting, and they're like, I like this guy, you know, but he never really showed anything that was kind of like, come sign me. He's just a very like, you know, he'll fit in and he won't be a weak link, and he's very good on the ball. But we already have Partey, or had Partey, and Jorginho, so it's like it's hard to talk to you about Jorginho, but he's a useful player, and we kind of like him.
Well, I mean, there's only one slot in the Arsenal starting midfield, really, isn't there? Because there's obviously Odegaard and Rice, the two starters. So you've got one slot in the midfield available.
Yeah, it is what it is, right? You know, I think
deal
Marino's
with
better value
Liverpool.
for money. If that's your question, I think for $30 million, the quality and the experience that he brings. But 60 million, I don't think he got too far wrong with Zubimendi. I think that's still money well spent.
It's good value for money. He's probably worth a lot more than that if there was no release clause.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think that's why he's at Sociedad, because he's waiting for that one move that's going to define his career.
You think Zubimendi is worth more than Mikel Merino?
Yeah.
Contractually, yeah, maybe.
Probably, just because, you know, he's obviously 4 years younger, isn't he? What, Moreno, 28?
He's younger, yeah. He's younger,
yeah, he's 3 or 4 years younger. That and you know, that makes a big difference. There could potentially be a little bit of resale value there as well, possibly. Whereas when you're signing a Moreno at 28, 29, you know there's no resale value there. You're very much signing a Moreno type player for the here and the now to come in and hopefully make an impact for 2 or 3 years. And then when he's in his 30s, you're not going to get an awful lot of money for him. Whereas I think with Zubimendi, you've got that younger player. He comes in, makes an impact, and, you know, there is scope to sell and get your money back, or get a lot more of your money back than with an older player, for example. And not that should really come into the thinking. I think, like with Chelsea, it's very irritating because that's very much how all transfer business seems to be done. Is solely focused on, is there that resale value? But yeah, I think either player, you know, if Arsenal were to get Marino and Liverpool got Zubimendi, I think that's 2 good bits of business for each club, and that'll you know, help each team next season for sure.
I think it's also especially good for Liverpool. I've seen the fans do a few streams since it was almost confirmed, and they're very excited. They're dealing with a bunch of people that have been looking for a DM for 2 years at least, and hopefully it comes off, because, you know, it's a good marriage. If the players, like, he's going to a club where everyone wants him to play, and, you know, they've been missing a player in that position, it's like a relief. It's like, you know, a fresh breeze after a stupidly long hot day. You know,
they're the only club in Europe that haven't signed anyone yet.
Which no one's done it, but no one's really done anything massive.
No, we haven't done too much.
No clubs have really done anything big.
Arsenal have had a very good signing in Calafiori.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, no one's gone like mad in the transfer window.
I think those days.
Chelsea though had like 10 here we goes.
I think with the transfer window, I think, like, just with the FFP and all that sort of stuff, I'm not sure how many more sort of like big £100 million signings and that you're going to see. I think you're going to see a lot of transfers now moving forward, that 40, 50, 60 million pound range. I'm not sure if teams have got the financial scope to be spending those big transfer fees on players. I know obviously Atletico have just about to drop 80 million potentially on Alvarez, but generally speaking, I think you're seeing across the summer, particularly in the Premier League, there's not been a huge amount of what you'd say are big money deals. There's a lot of these 30, 40, 50 million pound deals. And I think that just could be something that we see more of going forward. I
like it, Charlie. I like this.
Yeah.
I like this. I like the new 40, 50 million. The market is a little bit more. It's not about the 150. It's not about the 110. It's not about the 100 million. I like this. I like this approach of the market. Oh, Newcastle, we want 150 for Isaac. Okay, nobody's paying that. Keep the player. It's okay. It's okay. Keep it. It is fine.
Same with Bruno.
Yeah, I like this, to be honest. I like it better than the market that was, oh my God, Declan Rice, 110, 105, 120. I'm like, I like this better. This notion that the market, and maybe because my club is broke, but actually we're not even competing with the 50 millions. You know what I mean? Like, we aren't even in that. But listen, this market, how does that affect the Premier League? If teams like Atletico Madrid can drop 80 million or 90 million on Julian Alvarez, and 40 million or 50 million. Is it 50 million euros, right? It's 40 million pounds or 35 million pounds. I don't know. On Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, so Conor Gallagher, Chelsea going to get about 35 million for him, yeah.
Which is still a lot of money because they dropped that money on Alvarez and on Conor Gallagher, and Real Madrid can sign players. Is that going to hinder the Premier League?
I think, yeah, well, I think what it is, I think the Premier League can probably spend more in wages.
Yeah.
But transfer fees, I think Spanish clubs might be able to do a bit more business transfer fee wise. I don't, because the Premier League is in the spotlight in world football, ain't it? They're in the spotlight of all the money that's involved in Premiership football. So I think from that standpoint, that's why I know English club was going to spend that much money on, let's say, Alvarez, which is a ridiculous amount of money for him, by the way. And, you know, Conor Gallagher going to Atletico Madrid. No English team was picking Conor Gallagher up. I think it does say a lot. I think it says a lot. I think English teams are going to be more smart with their transfer business right now, and more scouting worldwide. I think you might see a lot more English teams looking in the South American market as well in the next year or two. I think that'd be the next big thing.
I think Atletico got a bunch of investment though, right? Like they're a special case. Real Madrid always will sign players, but Barca are poor as hell. I think in general, Europe they're suffering. Most of the leagues, like the French leagues, are suffering with. They're struggling to even get broadcast revenue. So I think the challenge comes from the Aston Villas and the Newcastles and the teams that weren't traditionally shopping in the same aisles as the big six are now like, you know, they've got their elbows out. They're picking up Mark Gahey, who was probably going to go to like a Man United or something. And they're strolling in for a little bit less money. There's good deals to be had in some of the leagues like the Portuguese league or the French league, and they're going straight there before anyone even knows about them, and they're picking them up and doubling their value in like a year. So I think the challenge comes from keeping the mid-table for the big teams right now. That's what I'm worried about, not Europe as much.
Yeah. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But a lot of people are saying the deal is off, and I know it's only banter, but I don't think the deal is off. I actually think this deal is going to go through. Actually, I think within a couple of days, Zubimendi will be a Liverpool player. And it's not going to take a while. Once Zubimendi says yes to the wages and they agree personal terms, I think it's going to be done really quickly, actually. Because this is going to take a couple of days. And
the reason people are losing it is because he's training today and he's probably flying to Berlin for tomorrow's friendly match. So people are saying, oh, it's definitely off then. But the problem is, I believe Ryan Gravenberch was training and had a friendly game when Liverpool bought him last year as well.
Yeah, he played the friendly game and then I think he left the next day or the 24 hours after.
At the end of the day, a man's just going to work. That's what he's doing, you know. He's just going to work. He's doing his job. But I actually prefer that than a player that goes on strike to get a move perfectly, to be honest. Moving on, before we speak about Arsenal and the game yesterday, I want to speak a little bit about Chelsea and this Omorodion deal and the Osimhen links and the Enzo Maresca. I haven't actually spoken about the game that Chelsea played. In my thoughts when I was watching the game, I took notes and I said, Chelsea look good going forward, but this system with Enzo Maresca and the defense, this cannot compete in the Premier League. You'll get picked apart. His positioning on the pitch is awful in terms of our defense, and it is not about personnel. It is about the way he set up his team. It is very offensive. It's unbelievable. He played 3 at the back with wingers, not wing backs. In the second half, he fixed up a little bit, but that allowed Real Madrid to have all the ball in the majority of the second half. Talk to me, Charlie, about that Omorodion deal, and why do you think this Omorodion deal happened? Why didn't this money was dropped on someone more experienced? And also the setup of Maresca and all the stuff.
I think with the Omorodion one, you know, it's textbook Chelsea. It's what we do now. You know, we look for opportunities in the market. We look for, you know, exciting young players with potential. And there's basically half an hour, as I was saying earlier, on being able to sell them for a profit down the line. Now, you got 35 million quid. This guy signed for Atletico Madrid last summer, I think, from Granada for 6 million euros. Hasn't even kicked a ball for Atletico. And they've made, 5-6 times their money on him. He scored 9 goals last season on loan at Deportivo Alaves. look, I'm going to give the guy a chance. I don't know enough about him. Haven't watched an awful lot of him. He's at the Olympics right now with Spain. He's obviously got a profile which Chelsea are looking for: physical, strong. He's good in the air. But the way I see it is that we've basically signed him instead of Osimhen potentially because they see similar characteristics in Omorodion to Osimhen, but he's much cheaper and much more attainable. The transfer fees is not an awful lot. The wages aren't very much for him either. And we basically, again, like with all our business, we're taking a gamble on someone becoming as good as we potentially think they might become. He's not going to play ahead of Nicholas Jackson. Yeah, he'll play in the Conference League and he'll get minutes here and there in the Premier League and the domestic cups and whatnot. But it's not a signing that inspires me. You know, we've taken an active decision to go down this recruitment route. You could pay 15 million quid more and you could get Ivan Toney. You know, if you were serious about Victor Osimhen, the deal is there to be done. You know, we've got Lukaku, who they desperately want. I don't think it's I personally don't feel it's that difficult to work out a deal where Lukaku and some money goes to Napoli and Osimhen comes to Chelsea in
wages, Charlie. Wages,
yeah, sure.
wages.
But at some point, if Chelsea want to be serious about being a top Premier League club again and going to the top of the tree and winning leagues, which is what this ownership want to do, then you have to start signing some proven, ready-made players to help you get there. And I just look, for me personally, Osimhen wouldn't be my first choice, but you've got a top-class striker there, but you've actively taken a decision to sign a 20-year-old instead. And then you're putting pressure on him to perform by setting targets. Oh, you've got to finish in the top 4. You've got a rookie manager and you've still got a lot of inexperienced players. And that's where my frustrations are, is because there are players there that you can go and get that will come to the football club and will make a difference. You know, asking a 20-year-old kid who's had one season of top flight football to come in and you know, make a difference and get the goals that are going to get Chelsea back into the Champions League is putting an unnecessary amount of pressure on young kids, and it's just not fair. So, look, I'll give him a chance. Of course I will, like with everyone. But I don't know enough about him, and I just feel that, like, if Chelsea just were a bit more intelligent, then you could, as I said, you could spend 15 million more. I can guarantee you get Ivan Toney for 50 mil this summer. You know, or if you genuinely wanted Osimhen, the deal's there to be done. Chelsea don't want Osimhen enough. That's the reality. That's why
doesn't that align with hiring Enzo Maresca, an unproven manager? Because there are other managers out there,
sure,
like that model. And instead of signing Ivan Toney, you signed Omorodion, and instead of getting a Hansi Flick or someone that is more experienced, you went and got Enzo Maresca. Everything aligns up together, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. No, it all makes sense to the route that Chelsea are going down. Of course it does. But it's uninspiring, is what I describe it as. I just look at it and I think we've needed a striker for 18 months. Everyone knows that Chelsea have needed a striker. Yeah, Nicholas Jackson done well last season. I think there's a good player there, but we need more. Everyone knows we've needed a striker for 18 months, right? And the club's answer to the striker we've needed for 18 months is to sign an unproven 20-year-old. And you're just thinking, how are we going to move forward and how are we going to progress if we are constantly just adding in more inexperience to the inexperience? You know, at some point, you look at all the successful teams and they've got a good blend of youth and experience. And we simply don't have that. We've lost Thiago Silva now. There's even less leadership and even less experience in this side now. And I just worry about how we're going to progress forward. And it just feels like, I know pre-season, you shouldn't read too much into it. It just feels like, once again, we're going to be heavily reliant on Cole Palmer to get us results.
I can't believe you guys are signing this guy. Like, you've basically done a swap deal with Gallagher for this Omorodion. Meanwhile, Osimhen's right there, like at the bar, flirting with you. You know, saying, come on, just give me a little bit of wages and make me feel like I'm wanted and I'll be there in a heartbeat. And if you guys got Osimhen, I'd be scared. But the fact that you keep getting in your own way sometimes and just buying, oh, yeah, well, we're excited about this signing, but hey, we're going to buy 2 Brazilians today. And then tomorrow we'll buy someone else random, like another keeper. It's Yeah, long may it continue. It just seems.
Did you watch the game? Did you see the goalkeeper? Did you see the goalkeeper play in the friendly game?
What, Jorgensen?
Charlie? Yeah. What did you think?
He done okay. I thought for the goal where Brahim Diaz went round him, I thought he could have done much better with that. I thought, look, there was some good. Do you know what really annoys me about goalkeepers now in this day and age? Is that why is it more important that your goalkeeper's good with the ball at his feet than it is for his primary job, which is to keep the ball out of the net? Why is that more important? I understand, football's evolving.
Edison.
But I don't get it. Like, surely.
Sorry. Edison is decent with his hand.
Yeah, but it's important to be good with your feet. I get that. But that shouldn't be at the expense.
Shouldn't be your primary targeting in targeting a goalkeeper. You should look first on how he saves the ball.
You should be signing a keeper because they're good at keeping the ball out of the net, because that's their primary job. If they're good with their feet, then great. That's a bonus. Look, I don't know enough about Jorgensen. They've obviously identified him as a profile which suits how Maresca wants to play. And we're just going to have to give him a chance. But in that Madrid game, I thought he was okay. Could have done better with that goal when Diaz went round.
Yeah, that's the one. And like it, but it shows the experience. This is what I think. I'm looking at this guy.
Yeah,
exactly. And I'm thinking, you described it amazing, Charlie. You said we're adding the unexperience to the unexperienced, thinking that we're going to get somewhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up.
Are we just going to stop signing? Because at this point, it feels like they're constantly signing. And I'm sort of just looking at it and I'm thinking, at what point are you going to believe in the investments that you've made and start improving what you've got rather than constantly adding? I get it. We needed a few players this summer. Sure. I get it. You're going to sign some for Strasbourg. You're going to sign some guys that never play for us and you'll flip them for a profit, whatever. But I know that not everyone needs to be a big name, and it's very much, profiles over names for me. If a player suits the system better, but there's slightly less ability than someone else, I'd probably rather have the less ability, which is a better fit to the system. But at the end of the day, though, I'm just looking at Chelsea. I just think, what are we doing? What's sort of the plan? I get what the plan is, but I think in theory, the plan sounds much better than the actual reality of it, because now we're 2 years into this plan. This is coming into the third season. And I look at Chelsea's squad and we've added maybe 7 or 8 signings this summer. I don't think a single one of the signings that we've made makes the first 11 any better. And that
what do you think about the football then? What do you think about the football? Do you watch the friendlies? Did you watch some of the friendlies?
I think the football's been all right, Mo. I think going forward, we've looked good. I don't worry about us going forward. I think we've looked good going forward. We create a lot of opportunities. Yes, we're still lacking that clinical touch in the final third. Yes, too many of the players are wasteful with their end products. But I think on the ball and in possession, we look good. But as always, the big worries defensively. We conceded a club record amount of goals in the Premier League last season. We're coming into pre-season, and my biggest worry is we're conceding the same type of goal that we've been conceding for the last 2 or 3 years. Individual mistakes being made, easy to beat with a ball over the top. I don't know why we're playing such a high line as well. And also vulnerability from when we concede. So many times last season, when we conceded, within the next 10-minute spell, we conceded again. And that's exactly what's happened in this pre-season. We're conceding goals, that we've conceded in the past, and we're still vulnerable after we score. Several games on the tour where we conceded, and then within 10 minutes later, we'd conceded again. So I'm concerned about how we look off the ball. Off the ball, we look really poor. But I get it. A lot of players are being asked to play in a different way than they've played before. And it's going to take time to adjust to the Maresca way of playing. And look, I don't read too much into the pre-season because everyone was gassing Chelsea up last season in the pre-season under Pochettino, and then we won 3 of our first 10 Premier League games. So I think for me, I've seen some positive signs, but the worry again is that defensively we just look so poor.
You're right with the 3 in the back, though. Go ahead, Mort.
There's something really weird about the way Chelsea's ownership are moving. It's like they sacked Poch to reset the expectations on them as a club so that they can keep just retail therapy in the fan base, like just buying player on player. And it's so many, it's like you can't even work out what you're looking at. Like which players are going to play, which players are there to be shift up to Strasbourg, which player, like who's.
Yeah, like every single preseason, this guy Gui guy played.
Yeah.
Like, what is the plan with this guy? Okay, right. This is what I wanted to ask you guys this. Let me ask, logically speaking, this guy Gui played every single preseason. And if you're buying Omorodion, trying to give him a chance. Okay, so why have he played every single preseason? What are you trying to do here?
Well,
like, why did he play every preseason game?
Well, because Jackson didn't play at all on the tour because he's not fit. And he was playing in Nkunku as an attacking number 8, and Broja is not fancy, so that's why he played down the middle. But I think with the signing of Omorodion, that almost to me confirms that Guiu is going to go on loan, because I don't see how you can have Jackson, Omorodion, and Guiu and Nkunku who could play as a number 9 if needed. That front trio looks scary, bro. So you have two strikers for me, and they're going to be Jackson and Omorodion. And then you've got that Nkunku. You've got Nkunku who can play through the middle if necessary. You don't need Nkunku, Omorodion, Jackson, and Guiu. So Guiu, for me, will go on loan somewhere. And Chelsea, the only reason Chelsea signed him, because he was £5 million. That's why. Yeah, okay, he's got some ability about him and he looks good. But that was an opportunity to sell him in a couple of years' time for a huge profit. I don't think he's going to have that much of a future at Chelsea, to be perfectly honest. Once he starts going on loan, that'll kind of be that. He'll get lost in the multi-club system or whatever, and he'll be flipped on in a couple of years' time.
You know, the problem is Lukaku's still on the books. But
yeah, he needs to go. We need to get rid of him. But
every time I mention Chelsea and the striker, and I keep counting, and I'm like, okay, there's Lukaku still there. Then
he's still there. We still got to get rid of Broja as well. You know, Datra and Fofana's still on the books. We need to try and shift him. I think he might be close to Leicester.
Bro, I'm gonna say this. As a starting 11, as a team, Chelsea are one experienced centre back and maybe one forward from actually having a fantastic starting 11.
Tell you what, Mo, if we signed Osimhen, right? If you put Osimhen at the top end of the pitch, if you talk to me and you say, like, you've got, say, Osimhen, Cole Palmer plays on the right, let's say
Nkunku plays fantastic.
Nkunku plays on the left or whatever, and then you have Enzo, Caicedo, and I don't know, a Dewsbury Hall.
Dewsbury Hall, Lavia, Caicedo. Yeah, I'm just getting Enzo, Lavia, Caicedo, anybody.
You need. I agree. We're one top quality centre back short. I think Fofana can be that guy, but the guy's not played football for so long. He's going to take time for him to come back. If Fofana can get to his top level and stay fit, that there is a top quality centre back.
I'm just going to say that. You know what? I'm looking at this market and I'm thinking, Chelsea can really, really get to a very, very high level in terms of a team. If they go and drop a £60 million on Margay and they go get an Ivan Toney for the next 2 years, Chelsea are really up there, and that both is the price of Osimhen. 100 instead of signing Omorodion for 35 and getting Wewe for whatever money and getting this and that, Chelsea could have with £100 million, right? Really have a competitive starting 11 that everyone will be scared to play against. Just Ivan Toney up top, Nkunku on the left, Parmalo on the right, in the back, Mark Gahey and whoever. I don't care, whoever. You know what I mean? Play Fofana, play Badiashile, play anybody.
At least I can't believe that they walked away from that because of wages, because you just buy 3 more players and you're on the same wages.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know what? The Elise one's really frustrating because I don't buy their reasoning. We walked away because of the wages or whatever. Like, the first thing you find out is how much money the guy wants, and like to pursue him so heavily for 3 weeks or best part of a month, to then suddenly decide, oh, he's asking for too much money. You would have known that straight away. So you know that's why missing out on Osimhen, on Elise was frustrating, because yes, Madueke's been good in the preseason. He's looked sharp. You know, he's got a few goals. He looks quite good. But we need some more competition out there, and particularly in the Maresca system, where he uses the wingers high and wide, traditional old school touchline wingers. Cole Palmer doesn't necessarily fit that on the right-hand side. Maybe he will play on the right-hand side, and that'll be slightly different if Palmer does play on the right. I wouldn't expect the right back to invert. You'd have the normal right back so you can get up and down the pitch and have that overlap there. But yeah, I feel like we've really, if Chelsea had shown some ambition and were serious.
But that's what I mean. So,
Charlie,
sorry.
We could have signed legitimately, right? We could have Osimhen or Ivan Toney as a centre forward, and we could have signed Michael Olise as a right winger, and that's a totally different conversation we're having.
Forget even Michael Olise. Okay, let's say tomorrow you get you have Cole Palmer on the right, you have Ivan Toney. Everyone from the Chelsea fan base, each and everyone, tell me, we know the owners want to win. The answers are right there in front of us, that they don't care about winning now. They want the opportunities.
Yeah. Their actions don't.
But that's what you said, Charlie. Charlie, half an hour ago, you told me that I know the owners want to win. That is not an approach of someone that wants to win. That is an approach of someone that wants, because if you are so convinced that this manager is the Messiah, is the new Arteta, right? This manager has an amazing system. Give him the tool to win. Don't give him an unproven player and then ask him, why don't you get top four? Okay, he's unexperienced. He's number one inexperienced. Okay, give him someone who is experienced. Like, for example, if you get me a manager that is a little bit, don't have the amount of experience to deal, but I give this manager top world-class players or players that already been amazing in the game and have been playing in the game for a while in the top level, these players don't need that much tweaking, don't need that much learning. I don't need to teach them everything. These players know. But no, they are giving him 20 years olds. Oh, teach this guy how to play football. Yeah, and then they're asking him to win.
I agree.
I don't believe that. To be honest, if Chelsea don't go out and get an experienced player, I don't think these owners care about the winning. I think it's all about the assets.
I can't believe what's happening with your center backs. Like, I feel like it was last summer you had like 12 center backs and you just kept signing them. I was like, how many center backs are you going to have? And now it feels like you still need center backs somehow. Like the Cole's looking weird. Fofana hasn't come back from injury. I mean, Disasi, everyone's got a problem.
It's a strange one because they're good individuals, right? Then as soon as you put them together in a unit, it's like they've never defended before. I don't worry about us. I don't worry about us too much in the wide areas. I think Reece James and Malagusto are very accomplished defenders in the wide areas. I think Cucurella can do a good job at left back in the wide areas. Chilwell clearly is not fancied under Maresca. I don't know what this Renato Vega guy is going to be like. I haven't really seen enough of him.
What about him?
But yeah, I think, look, we have to finish in the Champions League because this will be the third year now of this, the third year of the project, and we have to get in the Champions League. But as Mo said, if you're setting ambitions of finishing in the top four, then don't give a rookie manager more inexperience on top of the inexperience he's already got. We know the most important positions on the pitch are a goalkeeper, a number 6, and a striker. Goalkeeper, inexperience, and Jorgensen. Yeah, okay, I think Lavio's been fantastic. I think he's a top player. So I think that's okay there. And then the strikers, you've given him Omorodion, who is totally unproven, really.
Look at the face.
You've got Nicholas Jackson, who did score 14 Premier League goals last season. But once again, you're putting an awful lot of pressure on him to lead the line for Chelsea to get us in the Champions League. It's a big ask.
Can any manager succeed under this ownership at Chelsea?
I don't know.
Because it makes no sense to me. The amount of players they buy. I've got the biggest squad in Europe, and I'd say 50% of the squad is meaty, 50% of the squad is good. Yeah. And I don't get why you buy, like, there's very good youngsters out there that everyone knows about that are quality footballers. Chelsea could have gone and bought like 6 of these players, not had such a big squad, but a better team straight away. I don't understand. Like, as you say, you need a striker. There's quality strikers out there you can go and buy. You could have got, like, for me, Ivan Toney suits Chelsea to the ground. I don't know why it hasn't been done, because the way he plays with Nkunku in behind him or Palmer behind him and your wingers, he feeds off all that and he makes everyone better around him. You'll be kicking the ball further up the pitch. He will make the ball stick. He will link with Nkunku really well. He'll spray the ball out to the wide areas where the wingers can get it. He'll then run into the box. He's great in the air. It's a deal that's there that can be made. For me, I don't understand why Chelsea haven't gone and done that, because that just elevates Chelsea a little bit more, and it helps the whole structure of their side.
I agree.
GDJ is saying Chelsea will never win the league with this model. Do you believe actually the ultimate goal is to win the league with Chelsea, Charlie? Do you think that can happen?
It has to be. But I think that the biggest problem is the rigidity of refusing to move away from the model. I'm not saying abandon the recruitment model totally, but there's a complete reluctance to move away, even just deviate slightly off route and sign a Tony, for example. And then I look at it and there's a total obsession with the future, right? But there's a complete neglect on the short and medium term. And that's why we're struggling, you know. Everyone's saying, oh, this could be a good team in 2, 3, 4 years' time. Yeah, it could be. But what about right now, which is what matters as well? And basically, there's just a neglect on the immediate short term, which is a problem. And they seemingly don't appear to be that fussed by it. So it's going to be an interesting season ahead, because there will be difficulties under Maresca. We will go through patches where we don't listen. Where we don't get the results we need, and we lose a few games. I'm not writing the season off by any accounts, but this is a massive season for Chelsea, and it's vital that whatever happens, they stick with Maresca, because it's just an embarrassment if you get rid of another manager. This is their fourth permanent manager now since they took over a couple of years ago. There's got to be some continuity. So if we did finish 10th, he's got to stay. It's as simple as that. We need some stability at the football club. So I'm going to be watching closely to see what this ownership does when things get difficult, and whether they actually stick with their word or they pull the trigger again and, once again go against what they've been saying the whole time they've been here.
Yeah, this is like listening to my wife get angry for cheating in her dream. It's pre-season. Most players are being bought to be sold. We all know that. So who are the players so why don't you buy players to win now? Like, you need a striker. What is that striker?
What it is, Mo, like this here is a prime example of what a Brighton are. If you want to operate that model, it's absolutely fine, but except you're not going to win anything. That's what you're saying. If you want to do that, have a profitable business like Brighton, play some nice football, finish top half, 7th, 8th, maybe get into Europe some seasons, do what we're doing. But this is Chelsea, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be aspiring for more. And it's fine to sign players and sell players on for profit. Everyone wants to do that. But when you're running your whole business on that, you are not going to win. You don't win like that. There's a reason why no one has won doing what we're doing, because it's very hard.
I actually never seen a club. But by the way, this notion that, by the way, I've been watching football for over 30 years now. I've never seen a club that buys players to sell them. Actually, I've never seen that. By the way, that model never happened in football. Can someone tell me which club, for everyone that says that this model has existed before, can someone tell me which club has done that before? Maybe the club, I missed the club. Has anyone done that before?
I think people are thinking like Brighton or like Dortmund or something.
No, I'm talking about a top club, like a top club.
Leeds United in the early 2000s. So Leeds United sort of not on the Chelsea's level.
No, they bought to win. They bought Harry Kewell.
Yeah, they paid for players they really couldn't afford, and that's what trouble they got in. But that's the only team I can say that are close to it, and it's not the same kind of model. But Leeds was probably the closest I've seen in the Premier League era to doing what Chelsea are doing. But that's about it.
I don't care.
Yeah, but I've never seen a top club I've never seen a top club in the world, even in other countries, that buy players to sell them. I've never seen that. I've never seen Bayern do that.
Chat, just to be like, we all know players get bought to be sold.
I've never seen this before ever in I've never seen Inter do this. I've never seen Arsenal do this. I've never seen anybody do this at all.
No Spurs don't do that. There's no, like, Maresca's trying to do a jigsaw with pieces from 7 different jigsaw puzzles. And, the pieces are being bought by some guy who's up late at night with a credit card going, I like the look of this. Let's get that guy in, and he'll show up the next day.
But you know that, like, with the way that they're going, right? Say Omorodion comes in and does well for a couple of seasons, he'll probably be sold for 50 or 60 million. They won't keep him. And there's going to be, my worry is there's just going to be a constant refreshing of the team every couple of years, because the guys they've brought in have done well. they see there's a big profit to be made on them, they'll sell them on and they'll bring the next lot in. And you're constantly just going to be moving like that rather than actually building a team. That's my main concern with it now. I still think Chelsea are good enough and have got the quality to come in the top 4 next season. Yeah. But it's whether Maresca can handle it. It's whether we can find the level of consistency, and it's whether the players can stay fit as well. So that's what it's ultimately going to boil down to. I think the top 3 is pretty much set, but 4th is there for the taking between Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle, Spurs, Man United. That 4th spot is open.
Yeah. Moving on from Chelsea, because I can't wait for Chelsea to play the Premier League. Like, one of the clubs that I'm really looking forward to watch this season is Chelsea. I want to know what is going to happen. I want to know how this guy is going to set up. Everyone is telling me Enzo Maresca has the setup. I'm here for it. I want to watch it. I want to see how Chelsea set up. I want to see the defensive, the defensive setup. I want to see the amazing players going forward. I want to see it when Palmer comes back, when Jackson comes back. But moving on to the team that is actually ready. Destroyed Leverkusen. Mikel Arteta taught Xabi Alonso a lesson. Subs, before we go on. Okay, when a team goes through a transition, isn't it to win in 2-3 years? That's a question for Charles. I can answer this. But you have a team that is, this is super chat. When a team goes through a transition, isn't it to win in 2-3 years?
Well, yeah, but this transition, we're not looking like winning anything. I mean, we could have won the Carabao Cup last season, but is really spending the vast amounts of money we've spent to win a domestic cup in 2 or 3 years. Is that really what the project is? That's not the project. The project's to build a sustainable, long-term winning machine, and we're nowhere near that. You could argue that we haven't really moved forward from the first day they came in.
12 to 6. That's a big step forward, bro, Jordan.
Yeah,
you guys, I think, were further ahead when you had that transfer ban and you were playing just your entire youth.
I mean, to be honest,
didn't they win the Champions League right after the transfer ban?
Yeah, we did. I think it was a season after we did. But to be honest,
that's a season after when Frank
I would be against us getting a transfer ban just to stop all these players coming in. I wouldn't actually mind it if we were just banned from.
You hate your own club. You're not a Chelsea fan. You hate your own club. You're not a Chelsea fan.
No,
that's a new notion now. If you criticize your club, you're not a fan.
Oh yeah, you hate the club. Yeah, you can't unless you.
Same. By the way, I actually. By the way,
you're not a fan.
People think that about like me. I genuinely, when my manager had like the chance to win the league and we lost the league, I criticized him massively and said, "Oh, you don't support Inter." Apparently, if you don't blindly follow your club, you don't like your club. Yeah. You're not.
I mean, what's this about? You have a different opinion. Don't understand the multi-club model. The multi-club model is not going to win us the Premier League. Like,
you're a Chelsea fan. You're not a Strasbourg fan. That's what people don't understand.
Like, the multi-club model is not winning us anything. It's just going to get us a few more quid. It's not winning us anything. So I don't get the point of that comment whatsoever. That's not winning us any trophies, the multi-club model.
Oh.
But again, I'm waiting to see the football. I can't wait for the Premier League to start, to stop talking about the model and the owners and all the stuff, so we actually can talk about the football. That would be exciting, actually, at that time. I know that would be very, very exciting. Moving on to Arsenal. Main talking point is Gabriel Jesus and Kai Havertz. Looking very sharp. Gabriel Jesus looked top-notch, to be honest. Look very good. Mikel Arteta look like it's working. The wheels are moving. Everything is good. Arsenal look amazing. In this game, you looked absolutely amazing, moving the ball around, very fluid. You think you're ready?
Well, the reason I didn't wake up in time for this because I stayed up late to we rewatched the first half of the game because I missed most of it. But yeah, we were sourcing, I think is the technical word, and it's pretty funny that we're all clamoring for strikers and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the team's having no problem scoring goals, and it was a bunch of everyone. The scapegoats had turned up. Zinchenko got a goal, Jesus got a goal, Havertz with 2 assists and a goal. Trossard Trossard was great in the game. If anyone had been getting slandered during the Euros or whatever, they showed up for this game, which was a nice change. But it doesn't give you that kind of that content that you normally get after an Arsenal game where we say that someone needs to be replaced or they're not good enough. I think that a lot of our concerns are really like, as fans, is more just we want to get signings, we want to get signings, we want to get signings. We're seeing here we goes elsewhere, and that stress starts to build. But it was just a nice, soothing game. I thought that Leverkusen, I actually forgot the game was on. I didn't know it was actually part of the schedule, but it was a really good challenge because they're, even though it's early preseason for them too, it wasn't an easy game. They were very good with their press, and they were good at passing around, and it was a good sort of back and forth. I found the game quite entertaining, and it was only once we brought on like 7 or 8 kids. Our back line, I think average age was about 18 at that point, so I think we conceded a goal because of it. But most parts, it was very reassuring. It feels like we're ready to go, and we know that there's another 4 or 5 players can be integrated into that starting 11 that's ready to go. But Saliba and Gabriel look like they've never stopped playing. Raya barely had anything to do in the first half. It was clinical, and I wasn't expecting that against Leverkusen. I thought they were going to try and turn us over, and everyone could have a good laugh.
Kai Havertz looked amazing.
In
midfield. Looked very good. Late runs, connecting the play, looked very good. I have to admit, looked ready, looked sharp. The link up with Gabriel Jesus and Fabio and everyone, he looked good. He's going to force his way to start every single game.
For sure, he knows how to beat an offside trap or like lose his man, and that's pretty valuable when you're trying to pass these guys to death. I think him and Jesus, we didn't really see them playing that well the first half of last season. Jesus was still kind of injured, and Havertz was still kind of broken, but. Seeing them play together with Trossard, they're a very tricky combination, and Odegaard seems to be able to unlock it. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they look, but we still think need a couple. Need Marino as like a backup there in midfield for all of the games we've got to play. And I still want another profile in that striker position. But
do you think you get
it? Gabriel Jesus looked very good. Go ahead, Charlie.
Sorry, I was going to say, do you think you get a 9? Because I look at Arsenal, I think they're looking good. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they just won the league by like 10 or so points, sort of do what Liverpool did in the COVID season, just kind of storm the league. I think there is the potential to do that. My worry would be, I look at it and I look at Jesus. Yeah, he's looking good in pre-season, looks reborn, looks like he's got a different energy about him, Arteta's been saying and whatnot. But when I really look at it, have they got a 20 goals? Is Jesus someone that's going to score you 20 goals in the league that could win you the title? That would be my biggest concern about Arsenal would be, one, is there a ruthless goal scorer in the team? Secondly, is there a Saka backup? There's still no real backup to Saka in my view. And then thirdly, I guess that there's always going to be that mentality question hanging around Arsenal as well. But I think the biggest thing is there a 20 goals a season forward, or are there enough players that will score goals and maybe get 10, 15 goals each to spread the goals around? Those would be my main concerns. But I think Arsenal are looking good. They're certainly ready, but it's just like it was last season. Have they got what it takes, that little extra bit to take that final step, like a 20 goals a season striker would potentially do for you?
They have to win the league this year. Simple as that.
I think they do as well.
Arsenal have to win the league this year.
Or the Champions League.
Yeah, they have to win something. I mean, at the moment,
big as well. It's got to be League or Champions League. They have to win one of them.
All Arteta's got to show so far is an FA Cup that he came in and ran.
He didn't even manage half of that either.
So he
managed all the FA Cup games. He managed all the.
Didn't he come in at the quarterfinal stage?
No, he came in December. They barely played.
He
hadn't even started. Fair.
So he's won the FA. He needs to win something with his Arsenal team, because his Arsenal team is extremely good. There's no doubt about it. I worry about Arsenal in Europe. They look lightweight in Europe when it comes to top European teams they play against. But in the Premier League, I think they're ready to win the league. They need to win it.
Who cares about Europe? Real Madrid are winning the Champions League again. Who cares about Europe? I don't think anybody cares about Europe.
I mean, Arsenal have got all the tools. Defensively, they're brilliant. Midfield, I think, is good enough. Again, it's the big question: is the mentality, and can Jesus and Havertz score enough goals to win them the league?
Yes, if Jesus stays fit, yes.
But you look at Jesus in general. He's not a prolific goal scorer. He was never a prolific goal scorer at City.
But
He's
for
not
Arsenal,
someone-
Charlie, he never played more than, I think he never played the whole season not injured. Never.
No, sure, but that's a big problem as well. Can he stay fit for a whole season?
I think if there's anyone that acknowledges these things or pisses them off as most is probably Arteta. I think that we as fans all would agree with what you just said about having another striker and 20 plus goals and blah, blah, blah. And it's very easy to debunk by saying we scored more goals last season than we have in 20 years, right? So you can have both sides to that argument, but you know, Arteta, I think something I read yesterday, he got like professional pickpocketers, hired them to like steal stuff from his own players' pockets during a dinner, like a team dinner, just to show them that they need to be ready all the time. And this guy is like an evil genius as far as like how like finely detailed he goes into things. So I think if there's anyone that wants another striker to replace Eddie and be that kind of pinch hitter off the bench, someone to change the game up, you know, the Ivan Toney plus model, I think it's him. So I'm confident that we will get someone. I think that it's screaming out for it, and if we don't do it, it's kind of gross negligence to not add that piece to the puzzle.
Do you think you've got enough to win?
You're trying to beat City.
Do you think you've got enough to win the league if you make no more additions? Do you think Calafiori is enough to win the league?
Do. I think we're technically favourites already because City haven't done anything. I think they've got a little bit weaker, but as soon as they sign someone, we have to improve further. I think that it's very hard to be judgmental on this team because they've developed so far to be 2 points behind, you know, four leagues titles in a row, Man City. And I think Jamie's familiar with being close to the top, but at least they got one in the door. So we've got to do that. And I think that the pressure and the expectation and stuff, I think that they're used to it now. And I'm expecting this group of players to be better. The average age is now like 25.5 or something like that for the whole squad. We're not dealing with a team of kids anymore, so there's no real excuses. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be an absolute killer season. And if we go into it with the players we go into it with right now, I'm not completely mad at that. I still think that it's a very good team, and we should be beating everyone in front of us. What I do want to do is try and go for the, you know, be invincible again or have 15 goals scored against record or something like that.
Yeah, you just win the league first. So, win the league first and then talk about invincibles.
You're talking about the mentality of never losing a game. I think is something that only Arsenal and Leverkusen will understand. I don't know if Inter's ever gone invincible mode, but it's just a way of life.
No, we haven't.
Just checking.
No one cares. No one cares.
You wouldn't understand.
You're the only one who cares about this because you haven't won in 20 years.
I just know how important it is to be a team that's very like wins in the tunnel, very hard to beat, and that's a good basis for the Premier League.
Where do you stand though on Arteta? Like, because I'm not saying I think he's done a brilliant job, but do you think people will start to question him if you don't win the league again?
I think that people have been questioning him every day since he started.
It's every show now. It's every show.
Nothing's changed. I mean, I'm someone who's never been Arteta out, so it's been a constant kind of discussion on whether he should deserve to be there, whether he should be sacked. I think it's pretty ridiculous that he can build a team that's at the pinnacle of winning the almost Premier League and then also be considered for being sacked. I think that the metrics don't really add up there, but considering how hard that task is and how much even the biggest clubs in the world would spend unlimited amounts of money and still not get there. So, do
you think he would deserve another chance? Like, it's because that would be 3 attempts potentially he's had and he's not been able to get over the line. Do you think he would warrant another chance, or do you think that's enough evidence to suggest actually he's made us challenges, but he's not got what it takes to get over the line?
When you say get over the line moves in the Premier League depending on who you're playing against. So Man City line is the most extreme line that you can imagine. So if you're being realistic about it as a fan, and as someone, I said this actually like at the end of the last season, I said that I'm happy to have this discussion about Arteta out. I'm happy for him to be sacked if he doesn't win anything next season, as long as we don't talk about it every day. But unfortunately, we still talk about it every day, so I take that back. And I'm saying
I didn't.
No, but Mo, it just happens. It just happens on every panel debate. You know, the pressure has to come onto Arsenal, and I feel like it's almost like everyone wants him to be sacked so that we go backwards, and it's very hard to remove that from the debate.
I think it's because you're a big club, yeah. And when big clubs are as good as Arsenal are right now, and he can't kick you over the line, you have to have that discussion eventually. I think that's all it is, because all the other teams are not going to sit still. They're going to eventually catch Arsenal up again. Football moves.
I'm not that worried about teams flexing a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup and saying they had a more successful season than us. For me, waking up...
Not that.
No,
teams
but like...
are just going to catch Arsenal up. You have
just
to
our
do
metrics
something.
of success for what defines a successful manager is potentially like some easy-ish domestic cups or winning the hardest league in the world, or the Champions League, which is obviously very hard. So I think
I don't understand that mindset. I'm sorry.
But don't you want to wake up and know that you've got a chance of challenging for the league?
Big teams win trophies. Every time Liverpool challenged Man City for the Premier League, if they didn't win the Premier League, they won trophies.
What do you think
about
big
teams do?
What do you think about Arteta not taking the domestic cup seriously? He just kind of bins them off. Like the Arsenal regularly gone out third, fourth round under Arteta. Like, do you think that's a
I don't see it that way because he selected a team for all of these in the last few years where they should have won. I think issue was Ramsdale coming in, I think, against Liverpool, basically handed them that game. And we have these things that you have to cycle players in, but you have to win every game. So it's a tough balance. I don't think he's thrown them away, and people like to throw this against him and say, oh, he should have won this, he should have won that. I just want to win the league, and we're closer than we've been in 20 years. So for me to consider sacking him it doesn't seem realistic. I know people are saying mentality-wise, but
what if you don't win the league, though, and you don't win any other trophies? But this is not the mindset.
Every year you go again, right?
Why are we saying if he doesn't win the league? I'm gonna ask everybody a question: are Arsenal favourites to win the league? Okay, okay.
No, I don't
Jamie,
think
they aren't. They aren't.
Man,
guys in the chat, yes or no? Are Arsenal favourites to win the Premier League this season?
Oh, right now. Sorry, right now. If
yes.
Arsenal, yeah. Arsenal, yeah.
Okay. City ain't. That's the real question. Not if he doesn't win. When he doesn't win the league, or he falls behind Man City 10 points, or we see Liverpool ahead of him in the league, we'll talk about it. There is pressure. The statements are, there is pressure on Mikel Arteta to win the Premier League this season.
Yeah.
There is pressure. Okay, that's the statement, right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't win the league, fine. But at the current moment, Arsenal are favourites for the Premier League.
I mean, I think
it is simple.
I think it goes one or two ways. As I said, I think Arsenal either won't win the league or they'll win it by like 10 plus points. You know, if that's
why?
The way I see
why?
It.
Why?
I don't know, because you see, Mo, when Liverpool won in the COVID year, where they just ran away with the league after challenging for a few years. Eventually you are going to win it. You can't keep coming second, and then you also with City. I know we say it, and they still find a way to win, but you can't keep winning every single year. There'll be 1 year where you have a slight off year. So that's kind of why I'm thinking that maybe Arsenal could do something where they just kind of run away with it a little bit. Potentially. Maybe,
but I don't see it, but maybe. Let me do this couple of super chats before we go on. Sam here is saying, I love it that Liverpool are back in the mud, back to 3-4 windows. They got smacked. Liverpool should go for championship players like Robertson. This is their level. What? Why? I don't get that, Sam. They are targeting Zubimendi. I don't get it.
Robbo, when we bought him from Hull, like one of the best left backs in world football at this time.
No, he wasn't. But fine.
No, when he was playing for Jurgen Klopp. No, when he was playing for Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, he was.
Yeah, when he played for Jurgen Klopp.
So
when he won him, he wasn't.
What I'm trying to say is it doesn't matter. This is so many people focus on the name of a player instead of the talent of a player. And that's the world of football we're in today. Go and buy players that suit the system that your manager wants to play, and you'll be successful. Stop worrying about name and celebrity. But this is unfortunately the world we live in today.
Yeah, Wayne is saying yesterday I said Osimhen was overrated. Here is why. Last season he started 28 matches and scored 15 goals. Havertz started 18 matches as a striker and scored 13 goals. So Wayne, your statement is Havertz as a striker is better than Osimhen as a striker. Is that your statement?
That's utter rubbish.
He's saying it's close just to try and create a comparison. But yeah, I think he had an injury last season, didn't he?
Yeah, he was injured a bit. Are we really saying this, that we're doing Osimhen, Havertz comparisons at centre forward? This can't be happening.
Is that? No, I don't think Wayne. I don't think you mean that. I think you're trolling, Wayne. My man, I respect your super chat and everything, bro.
Yeah, I like
Brother,
Havertz. I'm not going to argue for that.
As a footballer, Havertz might be a better footballer.
Yeah, it says more. He's a better.
Not really. Osimhen is Havertz is not great. Havertz hasn't been great as a footballer lately. You guys seen Havertz in front of the goal sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not about goal scoring. I'm just about aesthetics of a footballer.
Havertz has had a good second half of the season, though. If he can replicate that. Okay, let me ask a question in the chat. Can Kai Havertz be a 20-plus goal striker? Quickly, before we end the show.
No, because he's not that kind of striker.
No, he's not that sort of footballer. He's not going to be a 20 goals a season player.
He's more of a false nine.
He scored 30. He scored like 11 goals as a striker in less than half a season. You guys know that he played only 15 games as a striker, 16 games.
I don't see him. I personally don't. Look, I'm not saying he can't do it, but I'd be very surprised if Kai Havertz scores 20 Premier League goals in a season.
I think he might get 15 goals and 15 assists. He might get a 30 GA season. If he gets a
30 GA season, he'll win Player of the Year, bro. If he gets a 30 GA, he will win Player of the Year in the Premier League.
I think Palmer got 33 GA last season, 32 or 30.
He will win Player of the Year. If Arsenal win the league and Kai Havertz get 15 and 15, Kai Havertz is going to be Player of the Year. Yes.
Can I get you to give a little comment on Trossard yesterday, Mo? Did you watch the game?
He was good, yeah. Trossard was electric. Okay. He was back to the Trossard of Brighton. Electric on the left side. Very fluid.
He's Arsenal.
But to be honest with you,
apart from Saka, he's Arsenal's best forward.
Well,
I want to add another point. Gabriel Jesus. This is a big shout in this Arsenal team. Martin has been on this Gabriel Jesus case all season, and I'm with him. If Gabriel Jesus stays fit, I think he starts as a forward.
But he'll start as a number 9 for Arsenal.
Do you know why? He brings everyone in the game, bro. This guy fit. He is not your prolific striker, but he makes others better, and he did it before with Arsenal. He makes players around him better.
Yeah,
because he was coached under Pep to play this fluid rule. You know what I mean, left and right.
But it's also a big season for Martinelli as well. He dropped off last season. The season before, he was good. If Martinelli can step up, get a decent amount of goals again, that could potentially make a big difference as well. But the depth is there with Martinelli, Trossard, Saka, Jesus, and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, it's almost it's now or never for Arsenal, really.
No, it's now and next year and the year after, and we're going to be here a while. It's a dynasty thing.
GDG is saying too much loyalty for players and coaches. They're just employees. If they don't win, they have to go. Winning is everything. Well, probably. I get Arsenal fans and the loyalty to Havertz and the loyalty to Arteta. Martin actually summarized this to me before.
There's a difference.
You summarized it to me actually off camera before when we were speaking before. You literally told me that we haven't seen a team be that good for Arsenal and competitive before. So we have to be actually attached to the team. Go ahead.
Well, the owners aren't going to make a change. If he came second by a couple of points and we don't win anything else, the owners are not ever going to consider making a change. Because he's done such a good job building a squad that's worth so much money for like half of the cost of it. So financially, I don't think the owners have ever been in a better position. Like even since before in the hybrid days, I don't think we were in such a strong position. So it would be suicidal, no matter how much pressure we put on him and I think that Arteta's likely to leave if he doesn't win anything. If he feels like he is in the way of progress for the club, he'll get out of the way. I don't think it requires a lot of fan pressure and flying banners and planes and stuff like that.
No, I think he'd step down personally. Yeah.
But he's going to get a new contract in the next couple of weeks, months, I don't know. And then we'll have another meltdown about rewarding unsuccessful behavior. It is what it is.
Listen, guys. We still have about 900 people here, 850 people here. Can we get the likes up to 500? The like button is underneath the live chat. You guys are slacking big time. And before we end the show, Charlie's channel is in the description. Of course, along with Jamie Phillips, Charlie's channel is in the description. It's Blue Brothers CFC in the description. And he does also a lot of work with Chelsea Fan TV as well. Charlie writes for Co-Offside, if I'm not mistaken. Charlie doing an amazing job out there, guys. Make sure to follow Charlie. His channel is in the description. And also Jamie Phillips doing amazing work. Daily content, talking about Liverpool. As real as it gets from Jamie Phillips. His channel is in the description. It's called Liverpool Chats. Guys, I want to thank everybody that joined us. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Jamie. Martin, absolutely brilliant. Can't wait for the Premier League to start. We're going to have the same panel again. This was absolutely elite content. Thank you for everyone that watched us. This will take us to Football Terrace. And then maybe I'll be live later today in the evening at 9 or 10, if I'm not mistaken. We'll do a solo show. Or maybe a call-in show, I don't know, but we might do something later today. I want to thank everyone that watched us. I hope that you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you guys soon. And we are out of here, people.